What if people are not actually addicted to negativity? What if they're addicted to the emotional stimulation conflict creates inside the nervous system? Because if we are honest, peace does not trend the same way that trauma does, ever. Stillness does not spread the way outrage does. And somewhere along the way, many people stopped consuming conflict for information and started consuming it for emotional regulation. Not consciously, of course, but emotionally, chemically, energetically. And perhaps that is why unconditional love feels so difficult for people to hold on to. Because chaos creates activation, comparison creates temporary relief, and a nervous system conditioned by survival can begin mistaking emotional intensity for aliveness. So today, I want to talk about why peace can feel uncomfortable, why the world keeps feeding emotional noise, and why hope may actually require us to relearn how to feel safe without conflict. Hi, Lovey. Welcome back to 15 Minutes of Hope. I'm Sharon Lee, creator of Wild Soul Hope, the Hope Method, and author of When the Soul Remembers Hope and Zebrafina. I help people bring clarity to chaos through hope and unconditional love, moving you from survival into sovereignty, from fragmentation back into your remembrance, your performance, back into your truth. I want to thank you for joining me today. And before we get into it, let's take a breath. Inhale through the nose. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale through the mouth. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just allow yourself to arrive here with me. No fixing, no proving, no forcing, just presence. Because perhaps one of the greatest acts of healing is learning that peace is not emptiness. Peace is safety. And I think many people are quietly realizing they no longer know what safety feels like internally. Not because they are weak, but because modern life has normalized emotional overstimulation. This episode actually came from a conversation I had recently. And afterward, I sat quietly thinking about it. Because the more I reflected on it, the more I realized how deeply conditioned many of us have become to conflict, stimulation, emotional intensity, outrage, and comparison. Not because humanity is evil, and not because people consciously want suffering even, but because the nervous system adapts to its environments. And if someone has lived inside emotional chaos long enough, eventually chaos can begin to feel normal, familiar, even safe. And I think that realization explains so much about the world we are currently living in. Because everywhere we look now, there's emotional noise. Arguments, fear, division, public humiliation, outrage cycles, people constantly consuming emotionally charged stories online. And honestly, I do not think most people even realize how much their nervous system is absorbing every single day. The nervous system was designed to help human beings survive. It scans for danger. It pays attention to unpredictability. It notices emotional intensity faster than stillness. That is biological. But what happens when the nervous system never fully gets rest? What happens when people become emotionally overstimulated constantly? What happens when outrage becomes entertainment? When conflict becomes content? When emotional warfare becomes normalized? Well, I'll tell you. The body adapts. That is what it does. And eventually, many people begin confusing activation with aliveness. That is such an important distinction, because activation and aliveness are not the same thing. Anxiety is not intuition. Emotional chaos is not passion. Burnout is not purpose. And constant stimulation is not fulfillment. But many people have lived in survival mode for so long that peace actually feels uncomfortable to them. And when there is a comparison culture, this idea that people emotionally regulate themselves by comparing their current life to someone else's suffering, by saying to themselves, if their life is worse than mine, then maybe I'm okay. And again, I'm not saying this judgmentally. I think this happens more unconsciously than people realize. Humans have always used comparison to orient themselves socially. But now we're exposed to an endless stream of exaggerated emotional experiences online. Public outbreaks, toxic relationships, violence, fear, conflict, humiliation disguised as humor. And sometimes people consume those stories because it gives them temporary emotional relief, temporary perspective, temporary stabilization. And they say to themselves unconsciously, "Phew, at least my life is not that chaotic." But that right there is not peace. That is emotional regulation through contrast. And contrast-based regulation is fragile because it depends on someone else remaining beneath you emotionally in order for you to feel safe. That creates a collective nervous system built on comparison instead of coherence. And honestly, I think people are exhausted, deeply exhausted, not only physically, but emotionally and energetically and spiritually. People are overstimulated, disconnected, completely fragmented, and searching desperately for relief. And perhaps that is why hope can feel a little difficult at times, because hope does not feed emotional chaos. Hope slows things down. Hope asks you to become present, to become aware, to regulate yourself consciously, to sit with yourself honestly. And that can feel deeply uncomfortable in the beginning, because many people are not afraid of peace itself. They're afraid of what rises to the surface in the silence. When the distractions stop, the unresolved emotions begin speaking. The grief, the sorrow, the fear, the loneliness, the exhaustion, the identity crisis, the nervous system fatigue. And perhaps that is why so many people keep themselves constantly distracted. Because silence requires self-confrontation. And who wants to confront it? Healing, or perhaps balance, requires awareness, not constant avoidance. And this is where the HOPE method matters so deeply to me. Harness optimal positive energy, not toxic positivity, not pretending suffering does not exist, not bypassing reality, but learning how to stop feeding fragmentation internally, learning discernment, learning nervous system awareness, learning how to observe chaos without becoming consumed by it, learning how to protect your energy without disconnecting from humanity, and perhaps most importantly, this one's really important, learning that peace is not emptiness, because peace is regulation, peace is coherence. Peace is what happens when the body no longer needs emotional warfare in order to feel alive. And honestly, I think one of the greatest forms of discernment right now is deciding what deserves access to your nervous system. Not every argument deserves your energy. Not every opinion deserves your emotional response. Not every piece of content deserves your attention. Because attention is energy, and energy shapes consciousness. That does not mean becoming disconnected from the world. It means becoming intentional inside it, curious, aware even, completely balanced. Because if you consume emotional chaos constantly, eventually the body begins expecting chaos. The nervous system becomes hypervigilant, the mind becomes overstimulated, and the soul becomes exhausted. That's why rest matters, stillness matters, nature matters, breathing matters, silence matters, unconditional love matters, not as performance, but as regulation, as remembrance, as reconnection to the self beneath the survival patterns. And perhaps one of the most radical things a human being can do right now is become internally peaceful in a world profiting from emotional chaos. I think many of us are beginning to realize we were never meant to carry this much emotional noise. Human beings were not designed to absorb endless streams of collective fear 24 hours a day. And yet many people wake up already overstimulated, already emotionally activated, already carrying stress that does not even belong to them. And after enough time, the nervous system forgets what regulation even feels like. That's why balance matters so deeply. Not perfection, not performance, but simple balance, awareness, discernment. Because there is a huge difference between being informed and being emotionally consumed. And perhaps consciousness is learning how to witness suffering without becoming addicted to it. That realization changed the way I began understanding emotional health altogether. Because maybe healing is not becoming emotionally numb. No. Maybe healing is becoming stable enough internally that chaos no longer controls your identity. So today, I just want to leave you with a gentle reflection. And I want you to ask yourself honestly, am I consuming things that nourish my spirit or only things that stimulate my nervous system? Do I actually feel safe in peace, or do I unconsciously search for chaos because chaos feels so familiar? Am I building clarity or feeding emotional exhaustion? And perhaps more importantly, who would I become if I no longer needed conflict to feel alive? Sit with that gently for a little while, because perhaps healing, balance, consciousness, and unconditional love all begin the moment the nervous system realizes and says to itself, I no longer need emotional warfare to survive. And maybe that is what hope truly is. Not escape, not fantasy, not even performance, but the courageous decision to create internal coherence in a fragmented world. If this episode spoke to your heart today, please take a moment to share it with someone who may need this reminder too. Because in a world that constantly feeds fear, conflict, comparison, and emotional exhaustion, choosing awareness is revolutionary. Choosing peace is even more revolutionary. And choosing unconditional love is the most revolutionary thing you can do. And perhaps the more we learn to regulate ourselves internally, the less we will need chaos to feel alive externally. And I am so excited to finally share that Zebrafina is now available for pre-order on Amazon and is scheduled for release on June 6th. Zebrafina, Balancing the In-Between, explores many of the deeper themes we discuss here on the podcast. Nervous system awareness, ego, shadow and light, emotional balance, unconditional love, and returning to the truth of who you have always been beneath survival and fragmentation. You can also listen to Wild Soul HOPEcast on Spotify and YouTube and explore more through the author page, link in bio. And if you're walking through your own season of burnout, awakening, grief, sorrow, transformation, or rediscovering yourself even, just know you're not alone in it. We are remembering together, As always, remember, sometimes all you have left is hope, and sometimes hope is enough. Talk soon.